Hey guys, today I want to talk about what expats don't plan on. There's always something that we always forget over here. There's always something that we leave out of our big plan. Our plan to be safe over here, healthy over here, and usually we leave something out of that. And the other day I had something happen to me and it kind of reminded me, and I've had this happen a few times, but it happened at the wrong place, wrong time, and it just reminded me of the things that can happen over here to people. And I want to get into this because there's a lot to cover here. It's not just about, this here particular incident. It's about a lot of things here that I want to cover, because you need to have this stuff in your plan, and you need to have stuff like this in your budget in case this stuff does happen. Some of this stuff is just stuff that you need to plan on, and there is no cost. It's just planning on having somebody to take care of you or whatever, or planning on just being ready for it, And I was out at the mall the other day, and this is exactly what happened to me. I went out to the mall. I got up in the morning, and I usually go through my usual medicine routine. I plan on, being ready for the day. So I take my my sciatica pills. I take the muscle relaxer, and I take a tramadol. And I try to do some stretches a little bit if I can, if I'm able to. In the morning is when you have the most problems. You cannot walk sometimes, at least for me. Each person is different. I have a hard time walking, or I walk very difficult, or sometimes I can't walk at all. Sometimes, on occasion, I'll be walking someplace and all of a sudden I get sciatic pain running down my leg and I cannot walk. Or if I'm walking, it's an extreme pain. You can tell I'm wincing from the pain. It's a terrible feeling, and it kind of reminded me, because at that point I forgot to bring my cane with me, and I need a cane on occasion now, because it's getting worse. The pain is getting worse, and I need to start taking that cane with me. So I'm going to have to start carrying my backpack again, and put the cane there. Fortunately, the cane folds up, and I also was reminded I got to start taking my medication with me, so if I do have something like that happen again, that I'm ready for it. But when it happened to me, it reminded me of what's going to happen if I have to go into a wheelchair. Now, I'm hoping I never get to that point here, but God only knows that answer. But it reminded me of what happens in the worst case. What happens when something like that does happen? Because over here, people that are in wheelchairs can't get around like other people. In the mall, you can get around pretty well. They're pretty handicapped accessible for the most part around here. But I'll say this, that on the sidewalks around here, things like that, there's no way you're going to get around in a wheelchair here unless you're Superman, and it's not going to happen, But I want to remind people that when things like this, debilitating things happen over here, you got to be ready for it. The other thing is this: when you have a heart attack, a stroke, you're having problems at home, you need to be able to plan on this. Now remember, a lot of guys that come over here, they also don't realize that there are safety things out there if this stuff does happen, and you're not taking your Social Security. You could always put in for SSDI, or if you're a veteran and it's service connected, you could always put in for more money or whatever when these things happen. That gives you more money to pay for the care that you need sometimes. But a lot of guys don't plan on this stuff, or some people are not veterans, or some people don't have enough quarters for that Social Security, but they come over here with a large sum of money and they're living off of that. All of a sudden they need extra care, they need an aid to help them, or caregiver, or whatever you want to call them, or help because they don't have a girlfriend or what have you. We see that on occasion over here. But these are things that you really need to sit down and think about. And the other thing is, we talk about this also is about dying. We come over here to live, but at some point we are gonna, reach that point, and you want to make sure that somebody has some money to either have you cremated or buried or whatever. That's another big one. Also, a lot of people over here don't have insurance, and I'm not sure why they go that route to go without insurance, because insurance over here and I'm not trying to plug the insurance over here with Pacific Cross or anything, but we have Michael Onstad over here. It's Onstad. He's a great person who's also an expat like us. He's a member of our group. You can call him up. You can contact him on Messenger. Michael Onstad, Onstad, and they have cheap plans that at least carry you through something. If something bad happens, at least you'll have something. No, you need to read it. You need to look into it. You need to ask a lot of questions. You might want the more comprehensive plan or something like that, or a plan that you can travel with or whatever. He has all that. But a lot of people that come over here don't think about this stuff. They think, well, Medicare is going to pick it up. You know, you have to have the right Medicare plan, and you have to get reimbursed. So you have to have the money up front, lay the money out, and a lot of guys over here don't have it. Because a lot of the guys that come over here are coming over here on low budgets, and they're living off a small budget because it's cheaper over here than it is back in the States. And if they live back in the States, they'd be living pretty bad. Over here, you can basically eke out a good living on anything over $1,000 pretty well. Not great, but the real money that you need over here is $2,000 to $3,000 a month or better to live really good, happy, able to go out and travel around, go out to do things, and be able to bank some of that and include savings in your budgets, because you need to still save at our age. Because when you hit your 70s, I've talked about this many, many times, your 70s are going to slam you with bills. Your health starts to deteriorate more. Your insurance rates go up. Remember, living over here, we don't have Medicare, basically. We have it, but you got to reimburse it. And these plans, some of them, they won't reimburse you. Most of the guys over here have never tried that stuff. There are a few people that have. Some got reimbursed, some didn't, by the insurance companies because they were out of the country too long or whatever. So keep that in mind. Medicare is not really built for foreigners or expats. They're working on this back in the country, back in our country, the United States, right now, and hopefully something passes that protects us outside the country without us having to cover this out of our own pocket. That's a mess. That's a big problem for most expats over here. The other thing is this: you could get in a car crash, things like this. You need to plan on, God forbid you become disabled over here. Because as we age, a lot of us get Parkinson's. A lot of us start losing use of our legs. Our hips start to go. We start getting severe arthritis or like I said, Parkinson's, a stroke, a heart attack. All these things are debilitating issues that can, really disable you and make it harder for you to live over here. And if you're living on your own without a girlfriend, it's even worse. Now, having a girlfriend over here, that's substantial. That's big. That you find the right girl over here, and a lot of guys are pretty lucky finding decent people over here. You need to make sure that you take care of her too. Make sure that she's taken care of, and she has some sort of insurance too. If it's a girl that you're going to live with long term or forever, or she's your wife or whatever, obviously you're not just going to take care of yourself. You got to take care of her too. A lot of guys, expats over here, they're very self-centered, and they only think about themselves sometimes. And they say, well, I got insurance for me. She doesn't have it. She's got Phil Health. Phil Health is not worth it. It's okay. It'll pay like a quarter or a third or something like that, and the rest you got to come up with. Very difficult, And I want to talk about this today because of the fact that I see so many people over here. They're running out of money. They don't have a ride. They don't have a way home. They don't even have money for savings to get home, and they end up going to some vlogger who helps them out or whatever, or they go to a neighbor, and the neighbor tells the vlogger. The vlogger helps them out on that or something. And that's great. Wonderful stories. But you don't want that to happen to you. You do not want that to happen to you. It's a terrible thing when it does happen, because you're going to be sitting there saying, how did I get here? How did I get to this current spot that I'm in now? That's why you need your emergency funds, guys. That's why you need to plan before you come over here. That's why you need to have all this stuff in place before you reach here. And remember, some insurances have a waiting period and some don't. Pacific Crest used to be a year. Now I believe it's 30 days. And you can talk to Michael Onset about that. Things have changed with Pacific Crest. They're actually getting better, a lot better. And Michael Onset has fought for us to get way better insurance than what's out there. These other companies are offering you, and at a better rate, cheaper, more decent. And he stands behind you if you ever need help. He's there for you. But I want to bring this up because of that simple reason that we can't forget stuff like this. You can't, and if you do, you don't want to be one of those guys that's out there begging for money or asking people for help, or be the guy that goes to the window one at the embassy, the American embassy, and try to get a repatriation loan, and you get back to the country and nobody takes you into the house or something. You always need to have emergency money as a bailout fund to get out of here. But what if you have, let's say, like I said, stroke, or you have bad chronic sciatica, or your legs let out or something like that, or your hip, and all of a sudden you can't get out and travel much. You need to get up to the airport. You need to have all this stuff planned out, at least somewhat, to a certain extent, so you now know how to work your way and weave through this stuff and get back to where you came from, if God forbid you need that. Most of us plan on staying here for the rest of our lives. Most of us plan on being here till the day we die. We're here to live, but the inevitable is going to happen someday. It happens, to every single one of us. Death and taxes are two things that you can guarantee in the world today. But anyway, guys, I want to remind you guys of that. And if you're in your 50s or 60s, make sure you have a little bit of money in your budget to bank and put aside as insurance for if any of these things happen, or when you hit your 70s and your insurance goes up, that you have that excess in your account to cover. So because food prices are going to be more, costs are going to be more, costs of living are going to be more. You have to plan on that. That's what most people leave out of their plans. God bless, guys. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show.